Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Alien Protocols. So, I wanted to dive into something really unusual, and it might have some deeper insights into the mechanics behind ESP and remote viewing. And it's very unusual, and I think it might be a hint. What do you guys think? So, when people do remote viewing and astral projection and all these different legitimate forms of ESP, there's often extra visual information, meaning data that is acquired that is not strictly visual. And there's a presumption oftentimes with remote viewing and these other professional means or methods that visual is the only data you get. And that's far from the truth. And you can see this through case history all the way back to the over 10 years with SRI and the CIA, that a lot of extra data can be acquired. And I believe that this data is acquired by first opening your mind and allowing your mind to accept information from these different areas. I've always been synesthetic since I was young, meaning I had a little bit of crossover of different senses when observing the world. And synesthesia means a combination, basically, of senses. You can smell and hear tastes. You can touch flavors. All sorts of different weird things. Synesthesia covers a wide variety, not just the senses. For example, one of the ones I've had is being able to smell or taste music, which is really unusual. And it just kind of goes to the rich amount of data that you can acquire in what we're calling the Lyman or the field or whatever you'd like to call it. But I'm going to give you a list of some of these different points of data, different types of data that I've acquired in real sessions. And when, needed, I guess, I will say where it came from and what type of session. So I've been able to hear and prove the ability to hear future sounds. We were doing a reading with a well-known scientist, and another scientist came in the process, and they were both trying to trick me in the middle of a session. And all of a sudden I heard a phone ring, but I knew something was weird about the time scale on it. So I said, "You're about to hear a phone ring." And apparently they looked at each other and were like, "Bring, bring, bring." The scientist who came in, his phone rang right then, just within seconds. So you can hear future sounds, and that's pretty interesting. You can also acquire all sorts of data. Like one of the sessions I was in, there was a businessman associated with the experiment, and I didn't know this person. I still don't know the person. And I said that he has a bizarre, unusual marriage relationship. And that is kind of a weird thing to say, but it ended up being true. They live in two different countries. And that is interesting. And throughout remote viewing history and all the cases, there's often times proof and evidence of being able to not only know what something is, but how it works, its components, its uses. On one viewing, I came across a device that was an unknown device, and I could draw its shape and say what its purpose was, and it was a new form of energy generation in a lab next door to the lab that I was doing a outbounder to. So that was really interesting to get a new kind of energy system and to know how it worked and the unique aspects of some of the components that made it work. So that one still blows my mind. something that I've always been able to do is the surrounding geography. I did a viewing with Kickadoo, who we had 3 viewings in a row, and they were using a new form of astral projection that was based on really sensory data. And anyway, I got the surrounding geography really well. I knew where buildings were away from the target, the exact position of buildings, roads, and I drew them, and it was really really surprising and wonderful. You're just like, wow. Also, things like the history of, you could tell the history of an object, where it's been, the culture, things like that. I recently did an incredible, where I named the target viewing of an ancient kind of drawing, and it was an ancient drawing of Hathor. And just fascinating. You can also find out, like, Pat Price was well known for finding out the internal components of things and where they're from. And I've had that ability as well too. And there's things that most remote viewers are able to pick up. Things like texture, hardness, weight, density, temperature. These are amazing pieces of extra data. And they hint at something. They hint that at these locations, during these events, that the target, everything the target is connected to possible, the viewer can connect to. And that is my belief. You can even determine things like the intention of biologicals. And when I say biologicals, I mean everything from humans to animals, of course. And you can tell their intentions from a reading. Like if something is hostile but is portraying calm, all sorts of things like that. Very, very fascinating. You can feel the sensations of others. I recently had a really fun viewing where I could tell, I literally felt on my body, my butt and my legs and my lower back, a really hard chair. And it ended up, it was a very hard chair, and he sent me a picture of it. And this was during a reading where I got all the different aspects correct. Like in the same reading, I could hear distant music, and there was distant music. I could tell the type of meal that was being eaten. Whew. Just amazing. You can sense other biologicals in the area. So if you have a target area and there's other biologicals off in the distance, you can pick those up as well. You can feel the sensations of others. If someone has taken a hot shower and just come out, you can sense that. If they are doing something, you can feel that sensation oftentimes. You can detect good or evil. You can detect good intentions very clearly. You can detect evil intentions very clearly. Then there's other bizarre things you can do. Like with astral projection, you can shrink, become really, really tiny, and explore things at a much tinier level. It's almost as if anything your mind can conceive of about the target or yourself in this process, you can achieve. And it just is mind-blowing. Every viewing is mind-blowing, especially the big hits. You can pass objects through other objects in the real world, but you may be doing it from the astral. You can do an astral projection and want to push something through another something, and it can happen. Of course, there's healing. Most healing at a distance is like this. So those of you who are healers, you're doing this amazing thing at a distance. And they're all connected, all these abilities, healing, remote viewing, ESP, precog, they're all connected. They're all using the same abilities. They're all tapping into the same field, the same limen, as we call it. You can do psionics, affect machines from a distance, and I've done that consistently in other states, thousands of miles away. And oftentimes I would go there astrally and see the device and study it and check it out and then begin. Metal bending for the most advanced practitioners is very possible. you can find a lost person or object, or encourage it to be found. We have a video testimonial of the young father whose daughter disappeared, and I knew that she would be back by 3 p.m. And in my mind, I was trying to compel her to come back. And it's the first time that I would say I've done remote influence, or tried to do remote influence. And it happened. She was back by 3 o'clock. And in the astral projection, I saw her intentions, why she ran away, what she was doing, and it was accurate. So that is stunning and mind-bending and heart-wrenching and wonderful all at the same time. You can, of course, I mentioned before, find a lost person or object. You can discover if something is real or fake. And this is a big one. It's an important one. Videos, you can see if they're real or fake. Pictures of UFOs, if they're real or fake. You can tell if someone's telling the truth or lying, which is, in the history of me being able to do this stuff, people have tried to be disingenuous to me, especially with some different programs and different groups. And I've been able to see through the obfuscation and the lies to the truth, and even get data on the truth, and later on get it validated that I was correct. So it's a very powerful skill. And it says, if we all did this, there would be so much less reason to lie or to be evil, or, there'd be no lone wolves that society is worried about. Having empathy and resonating with another creature or being is a powerful thing. Empathy is love and resonance. And I just wish society would do more and more exploration of this stuff. And it's my goal to help and teach you guys, and also to show the proof that this stuff works. So more things you can do. You can contact the lost or the dead. I've had only a couple of these, and they've both been really accurate. You can do psychometry, which is readings about people through objects. So you could take the object, and then you would start an astral projection. It would take you to a place, and you'd sense things, and so forth. And that's happened before as well. You can use these abilities to contact ET. We know people who use a lot of ESP and use a lot of these abilities have encounters. The encounters just come to them. You don't have to hunt them down. It's kind of like that classic quote I say from Nagarjuna, that if you still your mind like the surface of a lake, you can reflect the universe. And when you still your mind like that lake, and then you start using the abilities, you're tapping on that lake. The surface of the lake ripples. And I have a feeling those ripples go all the way out to different civilizations and different beings who can read consciousness. And after all, consciousness isn't just this amorphous thing. It has energy levels. Your brain waves have real detectable energy levels. So this isn't woo-woo. This is science. Of course, there's telekinesis and PK of a variety of means that can be accomplished through astral projection, some of these other forms. And then here's a really fun and spooky one, perhaps the spookiest to me, is apports and deports. Apports are making things appear, or subconsciously making things appear, and deports are making them disappear. And with someone well known and I love, there was a very powerful deport that we had where the object disappeared and it's still gone. And, it just blows your mind. And, of course, there are inventions. And this is oftentimes associated with contact events. Had a major series of tests done in Huntsville, Alabama, months ago. Was doing a lot of remote viewing and psionics and teaching a scientist friend psionics and all these different abilities, and all of a sudden all of these craft events started happening. We had that incredible huge craft that came around our truck this truck and was riding by us right over there, like 75 feet next to us for, it's hard to tell how long because you're just like, "Gah." It could have been just 30 seconds, but it was a while. It seemed like minutes. And then it went out ahead of us, tilted and went whoosh, zoomed really fast all the way behind us. And we do have some of that videotape. And I've posted a video of the scientist video, which is kind of low quality, but anyway, right after that, I got hit with a rush of inventions. 75 of inventions rushed out of me. And some of them are really great, and some of them are less practical. But everything is up to you in your mind and your belief system. So just keep an open mind and explore these things. And know that your consciousness is more powerful than you've ever thought. Much love to you and yours.